And there it is.
Hey, folks. Welcome to the 40-40 Man. It's a baseball podcast featuring a fellow who knows a heck of a lot about the sport and, well, someone else. I am that someone else. My name is David Bronfman. I'm your interim co-host.
And my name is Greg Howard, and I'm stuck here in purgatory, I think.
For some of us, it's temporary.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to the show, everybody. And it's the All-Star break.
I take it that this is our All-Star Game episode.
It is our All-Star Game episode, and firstly, let me apologize for us not broadcasting last week.
I forgot about that.
I had a tooth pulled. I had to get a tooth out, and we decided that we couldn't do a podcast with my mouth filled with gauze. Although I would probably provide more accurate content with the mouth filled with gauze than I normally do.
I'd like to have heard that. Like maybe have like a Marlon Brando kind of. So
it was crazy.
Balls.
It was disturbingly fast how quickly they can pull a tooth, and then they show it to you, and you're like, "Yep, look at that. It's that's mine now."
I've only really had an abscess tooth.
Yeah.
And when I went to the doctor first, and this was like 2002-ish, and I thought I had lockjaw. And he said, yes, you would if this was, the 1800s.
Are you up to date on your tetanus shots?
So I hadn't been to the dentist in a while. I've always kept my teeth nice and white. Very clean. I haven't really had many cavities.
Yeah.
But yeah. No, so I didn't have lockjaw.
Yeah, no, I had actually they had to take it out because I grind my teeth when I sleep, and I snapped the tooth in half. I snapped it in half.
I have a thing with teeth, and it doesn't even matter. Like, do you remember that Simpsons where they don't really show it anymore because the one where Homer gets the car booted in front of the World Trade Center.
Yeah.
And obviously they don't show it because nothing ever happened at the World Trade Center, but you're not supposed to forget it, right?
Yeah.
So when he tries to bite the boot off with his teeth, and it's a cartoon. Yeah. It's a cartoon, but it's still it grossed me out.
Yeah, I understand. I definitely understand that. But hey, why don't we talk about a little bit of baseball?
Yeah. Well, okay, so the All-Star Game is today.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually later than usual.
It's like we actually get to watch it instead of.
Well, no, but I mean later in the season than usual as well, because there's been over 90 games played, 96 to be exact, I believe, and I think it actually was because of the World Cup, because that actually did dominate a lot of television at that point in time.
That makes a certain amount of sense to
me. But it's the latest that it's actually been at this point in time, and I figure it is time to sort of figure out who has been good and who has been disappointing for this season.
Like as far as teams
go, we know about players, specific players, but yeah, this there's. Well, here let's. I've got a little sort of graphic to sort of do this this episode. I call it teams that have disappointed this year.
Teams that have disappointed this year. Disappointed.
Yeah.
I, for one, am a fan of Kevin Sorbo.
He's apparently a really nice dude.
Yeah.
and he's the one that posted that as well. Because if you mess up that bad, why not own it? But in case you're wondering, the Jays' elimination number is 53.
All right. What does that mean?
The amount of games that they have to lose or that Boston/New York has to win.
Yeah.
Adds up to 53. Whoever's in first place at that point in time.
Right.
And if it adds up to 53, then the Jays are eliminated from the playoffs.
Remember when I told you a couple weeks ago that now is your time to invest that $10 in having the Jays winning the World Series because they were at 800 to 1. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm glad
I waited.
You waited. Well, I'm glad you waited. Because the odds are now 2,500 to 1.
Oh yeah.
So now's the time to invest. I was wrong.
No, well the Cubs were 5 games back at the All-Star break last year, which was earlier. I meant there was more games, and they ended up, winning the division. But this year, it's unless there's massive collapses, which we've discussed before, by the 4 teams that are sort of running away with the American League. Although Oakland has actually caught up. Oakland is only a few games behind Seattle now.
Right.
But I mean, Boston and New York done in the East. The Jays are 16 back and 14 back in terms of the wild card. Houston is running away with it. Seattle is doing all right. Cleveland is just tripping over the line.
Right.
But in case you care, the Jays' elimination number is 53. San Diego, who is in last place in the National League, their elimination number is only 52. So meaning the American League is pretty much cut and dried.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. So that would put the Jays as one of the teams that is disappointed this year.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Based on the fact that people figured that Boston was going to run away with it, New York sort of, their rookies have peaked a little sooner, and they did pick up. Well, they did get gifted by Derek Jeter. Okay, You're going to hear some squeaking periodically, and there's
that's our field correspondent, Penny Bronfman, which is the dog, down underneath the table. And she has a segment coming up, so you'll get to meet her. But in the meantime, she's just bringing in the random various squeaks from time to time, just to let her know.
But yes, the gift of Giancarlo Stanton for pretty much nothing from Derek Jeter, who is he was in the front office of the Miami Marlins, giving it to his old team that he's a legend at. That sort of has put the Yankees a little bit over the top. But I mean, if you look at spending, if you want to do that, the Jays, their payroll, they're actually fairly high up in the payroll. They're top 10 in payroll. They've spent $178 million. Their payroll is $178 million, and they are 14 games back in the wild card. So they are most definitely a team that has underperformed. Mm-hmm. One of the biggest underperforming teams, which I just mentioned just prior to, who was in last place, just in free agents alone. The San Diego spent $149 million this season on free agents alone, and they were looking to sort of put a big bump, and they are in last place. The Angels spent $178 million on free agents and on arbitration cases and extensions. Mm-hmm. They are 14 games back of the wild card, 9 games back in their division. $178 million, but I mean, you have to factor in a lot of that is Shohei Ohtani's contract. Guys like he's performed. He's put up the numbers. But I mean, like when you spend almost $200 million and you're 14 games back, our friends the New York Mets, $130 million on free agents. And they're exceptionally shitty.
They've just never found something to throw money at that they haven't thrown.
That they haven't thrown money away. That they haven't thrown money away.
Yeah.
Let's find a Ponzi scheme for them to get their money involved in. Mm-hmm. Baltimore, $128 million in thanks, buddy. $128 million in free agents and arbitration. And them and Kansas City are on pace to set a futility record, a modern day futility record. They are at 27 and 28 wins.
Penny's a little eager to contribute. All right, I'm gonna put that away for now. It's her dinosaur. That's just gonna make it worse.
Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, so they are on pace to set a futility mark, 27 and 28 wins. And there's only 68 or 68 or 66 games left. Mm-hmm. And the Mets hold a record at that point in time from 1962 at 40 wins. So, I mean, if they get 13 or 14 more wins, which you're probably not going to get because they're obviously going to be, pillaged because they might have the odd good player that is going to get plucked from a team making a playoff run. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I should have thrown that further.
You did. You made it worse. Okay, so your metric for underperforming is the amount of money that a team has spent.
That's something that you have to factor in, because if you're going to spend the cash on this kind of thing, you could have done it in a more economical way. Yeah. If you look at Atlanta spent $14.9 million in total on free agents and arbitration cases, and they got a wild card spot right now. Seattle, same thing. Seattle spent $45 million total, like free agents, contract extensions, and arbitration cases, and they are in a wild card spot as well.
So, but you also sort of have to measure like what the expectations were for the team at the beginning of the season, and the way that I measure these things, as I measure most things, are what were the odds in Vegas. Yeah. And arguably you could say that even though they are doing well, mm-hmm. that the Yankees have underperformed compared to how they were expected to do this year. They started off the season as 9-1 to win the World Series.
That's a tough call, because they're sitting in second place on par to crack a record in terms of wins, but they're sitting in second.
Yeah,
like they're not in first.
No,
but you take Boston out of that equation, they're demolishing everyone. But it's just like it's that's an odd case. But yes, they are underperforming based on the fact that they should be in first. Thank you.
I for one am enjoying this, and I urge you all to purchase the 40-40-Man soundtrack. Yeah, coming out on DVD and digitally sometime in the next couple of months.
But another team that most definitely has underperformed. They're the ones that are actually hosting the All-Star game. You've got the Washington Nationals. Washington Nationals perennially are a favorite going into the season. Mm-hmm. $198 million. That's their payroll. $198 million, and they're 5 games back of a wild card spot. And you've got 2 of the greatest pitchers in the National League. One of probably of the all-time greatest hitters, who's having a bummer of a year. Yeah. Bryce Harper. It's not solely on him, but last year you had guys that sort of overperformed, and then now that they're all sort of sucking. So there's time, but San Francisco, for that fact, San Francisco actually has the second highest payroll, and they're 5 games out. 5 games out of a wild card spot.
Yeah.
And the second highest payroll. So if you're just basing it on money, the Jays, their payroll, how I sort of base that on is because we've still got some albatross contracts of guys that aren't even touching the field. You've got a big contract with Russell Martin, who he's awesome, dude, but he's hitting just above the Mendoza line right now.
Yeah.
And there it is. You've got Tulo, who hasn't really touched the field in 2 seasons, and as you've given the update, he's now clear to drink warm beverages, not necessarily hot, but warm.
No. I actually looked it up today, and team trainer Nikki Huffman says that also that Josh Donaldson has been he's just been cleared to bathe himself. Mm-hmm. Which is
is that actual bathing, or is that more of like a kind of a cat thing where you have to sort of lick the hand? And
prior to this, it was basically just a warm mist and a team of sponge wielding assistants. And but now he can actually close the door to the bathroom on his own, and is allowed to he's allowed to clean virtually everywhere, virtually his entire body. We're getting close.
But our Dodgers, they have the highest payroll. Mm-hmm. They are sitting in first, so that could be an underperformance based on monetary value because they're not running away with it.
Yeah,
it's the same case of the Yankees as well, right? Nice, good steal. Good steal.
There we go. All right. Man, I don't know why I bought that dinosaur.
I mean, back to there's some whining going on down there.
She'll figure it out.
Yeah, the All-Star game, as we've stated, is today. And last night was the home run derby.
Yes.
Bryce Harper won. It was
Bryce Harper winner of the home run derby.
Yeah.
Being pitched to
by his dad.
Pitched by and part-time circus strongman Bryce Harper's dad, who is one of the most jacked human beings I've ever seen in my entire life.
Have you ever seen Marcus Stroman's dad? Marcus Stroman's dad is monstrous as well.
Yeah.
And it's kind of hilarious because Marcus Stroman is like this tall.
Yeah.
His dad is maybe a little bit taller, but he's
just as wide as he is tall.
He's 5'7" and 5'7". But I mean, they have the home run derby.
Yeah.
And now you look at a lot of other sporting events when they have their All-Star game. You've got the hockey that has the All-Star game, but they have an All-Star game sort of tournament. They have a 3-on-3 and a 4-on-4 tournament. They've got fastest skater, hardest shot, agility contest and stuff like that. Basketball, the dunk contest, which they took away throughout the 90s.
Yeah. Which
was the stupidest thing they ever did. But I mean, you've got the 3-point contest, you've got, the passing contest, like it sort of fills the night up, right? Baseball just has the home run derby.
Well, to be fair, they also have the Army-Navy softball game. And
they've got a lot of games. They've got a lot of games. But they used to actually have a skills contest in 1989, up to 1989. It was like a relay throw contest, which is stupid. The catchers throwing out stealing from second base, that's kind of cool, but Barry Larkin ruined it because in the relay throw he tore his ligaments in his elbow and he was done for the season.
Oh yeah, and wasn't there something with that Pete Rose did during an All-Star game?
That was in the 70s. He barreled over a catcher, and the catcher,
he was like never the same,
broke his collarbone.
Yeah,
but. That 1989 All-Star game was the one that Bo Jackson had the sort of the coming out party. Like there's actually a really good. Did you ever watch those? I gotta North Americanize this, the 30 for 30s, because if I say 30, just no one really knows what I'm talking about. But those ESPN 30 for 30s. It's called You Don't Know Bo. Ever seen that one?
No.
I highly suggest watching it. Just from a point of view of like of a sports fan, and also like an 80s 90s nostalgic kick.
That's friend of the show, ESPN's 30 for 30. 30 for 30, feel free to mention the 40-40 men on your next broadcast.
And if you want to involve us in a 50-50 draw, we'll be 60-40 probably split.
We're 10 points ahead already.
Yeah. And 100% number one guy. But Nike had a cross-training ad ready to go to play at the first commercial break. Randomly, how the game sort of turned up, Bo Jackson is just before the first commercial break and hits a leadoff home run.
Yeah.
And then that Nike commercial pops up. So that was literally like the legend of Bo Jackson made because of an All-Star game.
Yeah.
Because of an All-Star game. And it was the Bo knows, like all of a sudden you see someone playing baseball and says Bo knows baseball. You see him crack a home run. Jim Everett, Bo knows football, and then Bo's like running through. They had a whole bunch of things like playing tennis. John McEnroe was like Bo knows tennis, and it was kind of hilarious because Bo Jackson pops up, like you don't see him skating, but you see him crunching someone against the boards in the hockey stick, and Gretzky just skates up and goes, no, he doesn't. And
I remember that. Bo don't know diddly.
Yeah. But that his legend was created because it was awesome, but because of an All-Star game. So it's important for players, but I mean, from a fan point of view, it's.
I don't know. I mean, like you've got the
that's a new one.
The home run derby. Where did this come from? You got the home run derby, which is got not the home run leaders in it.
No.
And
because a lot of them actually decline to go in because it says they say it screws up their timing later on.
Right.
So
it's weird. Like I think All-Star games and you're talking about a whole bunch of different sort of skill contests, whatever. In the NBA, like the dunk contest is it's honestly it's hit or miss. Like sometimes you get one or two good dunks, and then but usually it's just complete garbage. And everybody votes 10 out of 10 on these things. And then they got that skills competition that's just a complete waste of garbage, and they're a waste of time. And there are people that paid really, really good money to like sit in the audience to watch these like just god awful, horrible, exhibitions.
From the dunk contest point of view, the one that was in Toronto in 2016 was the greatest dunk contest.
It was the greatest dunk of all time.
But as a season ticket holder for that, realized a lot of the season tickets, a lot of the tickets that were already snapped up by people who were celebrities, this and that, because the NBA had held out tickets because they wanted the front row to be like all celebrities and people you can see because it needed to be the place to be. Yeah. And anyone that actually was a hardcore fan or a season ticket holder was sort of relegated up to the top levels.
Oh yeah.
So you kind of got screwed twice.
So I don't know. I mean, like, yes, it's a fun thing, and it's a nice sort of like it's a nice rest or respite for the players. Mm-hmm. But I'm not sure if I'm a huge fan of
the baseball one is it's odd because you can actually get guys that are sort of going out there and giving their all. Because no one's playing a lick of defense in basketball. No one's hitting in hockey or hitting in the football.
Yeah.
Well, the football one is just ridiculous because they have that the week before the Super Bowl. So that means the two best teams that are sort of there, you've obviously got a lot of players involved. They all take a break because they don't want to go. So you're getting also rans. 90% of the players in there are also rans. But baseball is the one where you actually can sort of go full out because it's a non-contact sport. And I mean, you can get a pitcher just throwing 100 miles an hour straight down the plate.
See, so this is good. This was one of my big questions: was do they actually try?
Oh yeah.
In the All-Star games. So that puts me closer to actually wanting to see this game in a half hour. So yeah, there's and then but also one of the things that kind of amazes me is the amount of all-stars that there are.
Yeah.
There's like 32 total roster spots.
Yeah.
And 12 of them are pitchers.
Yeah.
Do 12 pitchers pitch like these?
They try and bring in as many as possible.
But they're not going to play 12 pitchers.
There was a span, it doesn't anymore because they finished this 2 years ago, but up to 2003, there was a tie because both teams had utilized all their pitchers.
Yeah.
And predominantly all of their players, and it was already in some extra innings. And then the commissioner at the time said, okay, the game's a tie, and then everyone that was there was pissed off because they wanted to see a winner. So then the next year they implemented whoever wins the All-Star game, like whatever league wins the All-Star game, gets home field advantage for the World Series.
Right, and that's not a thing.
And that's not a thing anymore as of 2 years ago. But that sort of gave them something to play for, and then you realize that it sort of shafted, because the American League wanted a good chunk of times. So now they've actually decided back it to the team with the best record that has that will have home field advantage. But then now there's a monetary, like the team that wins actually gets a bonus in their paycheck.
Like everyone
there, yeah.
So I could be, the also ran pitcher on my all-star team, not play at all,
yeah, and get a bonus, yeah,
and I get a bonus.
But that also means that Kansas City, Salvador Perez is gonna try his ass off because they're sitting completely in last place.
Yeah.
Yet. He's going to get a bonus in his paycheck if he actually performs well.
And one of the other things that I think is kind of weird, and maybe people think it's actually kind of great about the All-Star game, is that you have to have representation from every single team.
Yeah, because that's why way back in the day, Dave Stieb had like 6 All-Star appearances because he was the only one that could send.
Is that why? Because I looked it up. I'm like, wow, Dave Stieb, Dave Stieb, super All-Star.
Back in the day, he was good.
Yeah, but
he was the only one.
Like 9 All-Star games.
Yeah,
worthy
there was 6 that it was just like we need to send someone, and then by 85 we started getting good. But yeah, so I figured if they come up with some kind of other skills competition, but I mean make it more fan oriented.
What I think I think that they should, if anything, they should do that thing where you run down the field and then have the bat on your forehead and spin around in a circle real fast and then run back down. That would be that I would actually pay money to buy a ticket to see that skills game.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of people that are doing this. You know, as soon as a foul ball comes up or home run ball, catch it in the beer and then chug. Yeah. So that's kind of like it's like flip cup. You know, you got to flip the cup first, or you got to chug and then flip the cup. This is catch and then drink, and then you got to tag someone else. So it's a team event as well. You know, these things. You know, if you catch the foul ball while holding onto your baby, because there's been guys where they've leant over with baby because ball is more important than they realize.
So people are bringing their babies to the ballpark simply so that they could be a target for foul balls.
Well, no, it's the fact that you know, I've seen this twice where someone's leant over, holding baby, pretty much akin to Michael Jackson holding over the newborn. And you know, and either they catch the ball, they miss the ball, and they get all upset. And then as soon as they sit down, and wife gives glare of death.
So there's your all-star filler is you get the all-star fans and do like half a day of that. Yeah. You invite all the parents with all the babies and you just set them all up in the outfield, and whatever dad can catch the most fly balls without dropping the baby, wins the prize. Of course, then and then you also have like a booby prize for the dad that wins, the dad that drops the most amount of babies. So there's also like at least some incentive for entertainment for the people that are watching.
I'm down with that.
Yeah.
Just something extra, because like the game itself is okay. Like it's okay because you actually are seeing guys that are trying, and it's literally like a fantasy squad out there.
Yeah,
you know, minus the fact that you don't have the Hulk or any kind of orcs. You know, because if you have to draft the Hulk,
so it's not my kind of fantasy.
Yeah, Steve just hasn't grasped the concept of the fantasy. If I want a power forward, no one's going to stop the Hulk. You put shame on the family, Steve.
I always love it when you do references that no one's going to understand.
Oh yeah, American Dad, in case anyone cares. Well, here's a little segment we like to call the injury report.
Here, Penny, come here. Come on. So we've heard some bad news about Kevin Pillar, and my dog Penny and I are going to do a little bit of explanations about what's going on with the poor guy, because hang on a second, we're good. So because one of the things was that the trainer Nikki Huffman, she like made some comment that he had an injury that was life-threatening, and it got a lot of play, and a lot of people are like, oh my God, Pilar like almost died or whatever. So I'm gonna just sort of demonstrate what Kevin Pilar had was is known as a sternoclavicular joint sprain, and if you'll see on the dog. So the clavicle runs right here from underneath her collar, and it goes right into the sternum. And this is an exact representation of the human body, by the way. Well, yes, but if you've taken comparative anatomy, you know that dogs and humans have the same sternoclavicular joint. So that's the joint that's right there. It's like where the clavicle meets the center in the sternum. Right over there, and so what happened with Kevin Pilar is he landed really awkward. He landed on that shoulder, and that his clavicle popped outwards like this, and so now he's out for 4 to 6 weeks because it popped outwards. The question was when it dislocated was that it could have popped inwards. So if you're demonstrating the dog, imagine the clavicle just going right inside of this dog. So right underneath this joint there, you've got the carotid artery, which is your main blood supply to the brain. You've got your, there's some very important nerves there. And then also your trachea, responsible for all the barking and the squeaking. Not quite the squeaking. So that would be the life-threatening injury, but when I was doing some research on this, I have not found a single instance in baseball where this has actually ever happened. So what Penny is here to tell you is that that was you know, much to do about nothing. Yes, he's hurt. He was not in any major danger. He did get sent to the emergency room to get checked out. But I think that was just sort of a lot of headline grabbing information. So here, Penny and I are just there to calm you down and to let you know that Kevin Pilar is going to pull through, but he may as well take a rest until the end of the season because, you know, there's really
nothing. Yeah, for us he's performing defensively, but he's really floundering in the offensive department.
So that was the injury report.
Yeah, injury report.
Oh yeah, and Lourdes Gurriel took a foot to a helmet. He's on a concussion protocol, like 7 days or something.
That's a bad one.
Yeah.
I haven't worked out the numbers of how many man games we've missed this year. It's going to be a lot. We had the most games missed last year, most players on the injured reserve.
We had like the most amount of salary on the injured on injured like forever, like in of all time last year. So so this year it's slightly better, but with a slightly worse record.
Yeah.
Right. We're much worse than
we're much worse.
See, I'm learning.
Well, the funny thing is, it's not that we're much worse. It's that a couple of other teams are a lot better. So by proxy, you know, it's just frustrating. God, it's super frustrating. And you know, you're used to it if you're a Jay fan. We had a couple of years where things went right, and it's because no one got injured.
I think it's good that the year that I started watching baseball, because I drunkenly decided to be a part of this podcast, is a year that's difficult for the Jays because it's sort of like,
oh, if everything's going right, what do you have to talk about?
Yeah,
like my brother's a fan of the New England Patriots. What are you going to talk about?
How great you are.
How great you are. Yeah.
How awesome.
You know,
everything's great.
How you got away with cheating for a lot of things.
Wish you could deflate a baseball.
No, but I mean, that whole there's cork balls and juice balls and stuff. So
in the Army Navy game, they were playing with a softball. That doesn't. You can't play softball.
Have you been hit in the face for that? It's not really that soft.
Well,
it's pretty hard.
Of all the balls that have hit me in the face, those would have those were not the least welcome. The softball.
Well, do you have anything else to sort of?
You know, Greg, I think we put in some solid minutes here today. Yeah.
Down with it. The game starts in about 25 minutes. It'll be fun to watch, but don't expect like major things happening.
Is J.A. Happ going to pitch one pitch?
He'll probably go in for a couple of guys.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Reason to watch.
Yeah. I guess that's probably it.
All right. Well, thanks again to Henderson Brewing for tossing us the beers and sometimes swag. And also, once again, if you ever choose to do something that we're doing, minus a dog probably, go to stage10.tv. It's a web-based application that you can use to podcast, not just orally, but also visually. Which we do, and which Greg is doing when you see like all the switching of camera angles. We've got cameras everywhere. They never leave my house. I'm surrounded by cameras.
3 in the bathroom.
Yes, that's right. Tune in to 40/40 Men After Dark for the bathroom cameras. Anyhow, thanks very much, folks, and hopefully we'll see you again next week. And until then, stay safe.
Yes, we are still.
Are we still? I want to check out this bathroom. I got one right under the seat.
Are they facing up? Okay, good. So you can have like a kind of like a lens steamer.